Hello there. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly, and tonight I have a fun double-page holiday-themed scrapbook layout for you that focuses on lots of photo opportunities without losing the decorative element. We're going to be using the Keeping Traditions Scrapbooking Workshop Kit that, if used as designed, creates 6 adorable pages. We're actually going to use the contents of this kit and create something completely different with it, which is something that I love to do, but it's a great workshop kit. Each of the workshop kits from Stampin' Up! Also teaches added technique, so you're learning a little bit of technique with each scrapbooking workshop kit each month. I love the sticker sheet with the strip elements, lots of title opportunities, some wordy bits, some countdown to Christmas numbers. We also have some punch out ephemera with some gorgeous poinsettias. There are 4 specialty papers in the scrapbooking workshop kit, which are pre-printed backgrounds. They are white on the back, and then they're really neat pre-printed backgrounds. The scrapbooking workshop kits always come with place card holders for your photos in case you don't have your photos to put on. You get 6 sheets of designer series paper. So you can see we have traditional reds and greens. We have pops of Pool Party and Secret Sea in this. One that's more of a hero floral. All the rest of those are just great scrapbooking patterns, dots, stripes, and smaller patterns. There is some cardstock that comes in the collection, and we'll be using those coordinating colors. Now, I have this little event that my daughter-in-law and I attended, where we created porch pots, and we had a girl day. We made a girl day of it. You can see our beautiful porch pots in the front. They had an old vintage sleigh that we could sit in for some photo ops, lots of little Christmas backgrounds, and she and I went and spent a girl day together, and we went to the floral shop and created the porch pots. So we kind of have some of the photos of before and after and during, and then we had a great lunch. We went and had pedicures, and it isn't too often that we get a girl day, but you can see the beginnings of our porch pots, putting our porch pots together, and they turned out so beautiful. So I actually have 14 photos here. I have 5 2x2s, 6 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and 3 4x6s. So I really want a lot of photo opportunities, but I don't want to lose that fun decorative element. So I thought a film strip is a perfect alternative to be able to get some smaller photos in there, a flip flap for the larger photos to turn a single photo into 3 4x6 photos, and then we can have 6 3x3 or 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 that will add up to 3x3 once you add like an 1/8" border times 2, and then I think that's going to be perfect. That's going to give us 14 photo opportunities. It's going to knock out this entire day and the entire theme in one 2-page layout. So I really wanted to document this. I wanted to tell the story. I loved our day, but I didn't want to have to create like 4 pages or 6 pages to get all of the photos in. So I put all of those 2x2 photos in. I actually printed them at about like 2 1/8 by 2 1/8. So I had a little bit of a lip to go behind the film strip. Now I'll link in the description a free Design Space file that has all of the Cricut elements that I'm using tonight, including this film strip. And then I added vellum behind that. The vellum is 3x11, and I thought that might be fun to have the vellum peeking out on the sides to make it look a little bit more like an authentic film strip. Then I've added a 4x6 photos to a flip flap. I've added a 4x6 photo for the bottom and an 1/8" willow white. So we have 4 1/8 by 6 1/8, and I've added that flip flap to that photo mat, that 4 1/8 by 6 1/8 photo mat, and we'll be backing it again with yet another color or another photo mat, but I wanted to get all my photos together. So for the 2 3/4 inch, 6 of those photos, I added an 1/8 inch photo mat willow white for that as well. Now I wanted to draw from my favorites, my usual favorites. So if those of you who follow my channel know I love circles, I love to add circles to my pages, especially large circles, and I love, 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 love stitched frames. So I've made a smaller stitched frame, and I have an 8-inch white circle, and I start out thinking I'm going to use Secret C cardstock on an 8 3/4 inch circle, and that we could still have a decorative element with the stitched frame in the back, the circle in the front, film strips on the left. Now I decided to add a second film strip with another 3x11 vellum piece. A lot of it's going to be covered, so you probably wouldn't need as long of one as what I used, but I thought it might be cute to have those film strips stacked on each other, like it's just a couple rolls of film that are laying off to the side, that might be fun. So I'm shopping all of the patterns here to see what's going to make a great background. Right now, it's a lot of Secret C, and Secret C is gorgeous, so I'm not worried about it being a lot of Secret C, but of course I want to pull in the holiday red. So even though it is not Christmas in these photos, it's a definite holiday vibe with making the porch pots and having Christmas shopping and things like that. So now that I think I could layer the Secret C frame and the cherry cobbler dot pattern, I really will need to bring in something a little bit more vibrant. So I think I can add or back the white circle with another circle using those florals. But I'm kind of going to be chintzy. I want to stretch all of these papers from this workshop kit and get as many pages out of the workshop kit as I can. When you do the workshop as designed, you get 6 pages, and I usually make a big goal of getting 12 pages out of a workshop kit. So almost doubling it by using the same materials, maybe adding a few Cricut cuts to that, adding some extra cardstock to that. So what I'm going to do is cut a 1/2 inch gutted frame all the way around this pre-printed pattern background, because I think I can use the interior for something else, but I really love the Secret C diagonal stripe for the background. Then I'm going to cut down the cherry cobbler dot to 11.5 by 11.5, but of course it's the floral on the back side, and I do not want to waste a single inch of that, so I'm going to gut out that 11.5 by 11.5 by cutting a 1/2 inch all the way around. So we're going to cut from 1/2 inch to 11 inches all the way around to get that frame. Then we're able to have 2 interior pieces of that floral without wasting any of that floral. So I'm going to cut around the 8 3/4 inch circle to get that 8 3/4 inch floral circle. I'm going to have a piece of Secret C that's going to rest behind my stitched frame, and that is 10 3/4 by 10 3/4. And then I'm going to put my stitched frame in the center of that. Now, of course, you can gut that Secret C background piece because it's not going to show. And then I'm going to have the floral circle in the background and a white circle in the foreground. But I also still don't want to waste the interior of that circle. So I'm going to just grossly poke my scissors in and cut all the way around, leaving about 3/4 of an inch or an inch in that circle. And it might seem a little bit barbaric, but I can cut that down and use that for so many other things. Like I said, I'm really chintzy when it comes to my scrapbooking workshop papers. You typically get 6 DSP in a scrapbooking workshop, and then 4 extra specialty papers, and then a lot of times punch out ephemera and stickers. And so I really want to use every single piece of the DSP wisely. So I've added liquid glue to the frames, and I've adhered those together. And then I don't actually need a background piece piece because I'm able to piece together the frame over the top. However, sometimes to make it easier on myself, I will take one of these throwaway background pieces. These pieces come in our pattern paper or in our cardstock. And if you don't like that thickness, you definitely don't have to use it. But because I gutted all the other pieces, it's not going to add too much bulk, and I don't have to use another piece of willow white. I just use the cardboard piece that comes in the paper, and I'll use an ugly piece of paper that I don't see myself using, or a piece of paper that got messed up somehow, and I'll use that on the background because it won't show. So now I can add those two stitched frames, but I know I want another color. It seems a little bit flat, and there's a lot of colors in that floral pattern that we could pull into the stitched strips. So we have Pool Party, of course we have Cherry Cobbler in there, we have a couple different greens in there. It looks like we have a little bit of Old Olive as well as Mossy Meadow. So I want to work a little bit here before I decide on what I want around the stitching. I want to work on the placement here a little bit so I can kind of figure out how much of that is going to show. So I start by putting the vellum film strip over on the left, and it was really bugging me that the white stitched frame was like see through the vellum, and I was like missing my whole point. I really want some of that vellum film strip to show, but not too much of it to show. I just kind of want them to look a little bit stacked over there on the left. And it was really distracting how some of the white on the left-hand side was showing. And so I decided to go with the solid film strip way over to the left, and then put the vellum film strip in. And then it doesn't bother me if some of the frame is peeking through when it's over on the right, because it isn't sort of chunked off on the corner there. So I'm kind of going to get placement of the circle, and then I put the Pool Party behind the stitching to see if I like that. I put the Cherry Cobbler behind the stitching to see if I love that. And I really think we need the contrast color. So in the floral pattern, there's Pool Party in the floral pattern. There's also some Pool Party in the stickers or the punch outs as well. So we're going to be able to draw that Pool Party out. And then there's actually some windows in the back of the greenhouse that have a little bit of a light blue tone to them. It's the sun coming through a tinted window, but it has a little bit of a Pool Party color in it as well. So I'm going to get placement of those film strips. And then once I get placement of those film strips and I place the circle, then I can sort of work on it a little bit. As I'm placing the circle, I'm thinking to myself, I think we need something to be elongating things horizontally. Like we need something underneath the circle to draw our eye across the circle instead of just having the circle laying out there all by itself. So I'm going to punch out a couple of these green checkered scallops. They're so cute, but I think they're only like 11 inches or 10 inches. And so I'm going to do some paper piecing to make it 12 inches all the way across. And then on the left page, I think we can piece a couple small pieces together. Now I want to add a large photo mat. I was going to add 6 separate Secret-See photo mats, but I think I decided to just make a landing spot that is 6 1/8 by 9 1/8 to put the 2 3/4 photos on, but the 2 3/4 inch photos have an 1/8 inch willow white around it, and I think that's going to fit perfectly. And then we have a couple of these Secret-See striped stickers here. Now, originally I line it up and then I leave a little bit of a gap between the photo mat and the sticker, and I don't like that. So I end up raising that up a little bit so that the bottom of the photo mat can be flush with the sticker, and I like that a lot better. So then I go ahead and I'm going to start that scallop punch out piece all the way flush to the left-hand side of the page, and then I'm going to trim off just enough to double that up or overlap that so that the scallops match up, and to finish out the 12 inches all the way across. And then I'm just going to eyeball here and measure probably a little over 3 inches there. And then I need just a tiny little piece over on the right. Now here I totally make myself laugh because I actually see that there's going to be a little piece that's going to show on the right side of the film strip. So I actually cut an extra green piece, and then like a dum-dum, my photo covers that up. So I totally made work for myself that I didn't need to make for myself. So do as I say and not as I do. That's why I work things out for you so that you don't have to worry about it. If you're recreating this layout, don't create that next green piece that I'm going to create here in just a bit. Now, I actually probably don't even need quite as much as what I used, but here you see I take a little piece, I put it under the ring because I'm thinking there's going to be a little gap in there where just a teeny bit of that green needs to show through. But then once I get the top circle in place and I put the 4x6 flip flap and the 4x6 photos in place, it's completely covered, and I just wasted that little green piece that will actually be able to use that cute little scallop green piece somewhere else. And so, but I love how the Secret Sea stripe looks on top of this scalloped green. So it's starting to take shape, but I really don't want to put my circle in place just yet because I don't know if I'm going to pop that up and tuck some things under the circle, or if I'm going to add all of my elements to the top of the circle. Now there's always that defining, moment where certain people have a cutoff point in their scrapbooking. Like certain people will absolutely not do a scrapbook layout unless it has a certain number of photos. Like it's hard for some people to do a focal feature layout that only has like 1 photo on it or 2 photos on it because they want much more functional scrapbooking, right? Now I'm shopping all of these titles, and then I'll finish my thought about the photo opportunities. But I'm just taking a look. I really do like what the red looks like. I don't think the Secret Sea is going to show up, but all of the titles have, a pretty pure Christmas vibe, except for Oh What Fun. Because we have Christmas joy, we have Christmas, we have the most wonderful time of the year. And even though our elements in the photos are Christmassy themed, they are it's not Christmas. It's a Christmas activity or a holiday activity, but it isn't Christmas. So I really love the thought of using Oh What Fun because it really fits with our fun girl day. We had so much fun. We never get away together, and we never get away without grandkids. And so it was so much fun for my daughter-in-law, MJ, and I to just be able to go. We did some shopping. We checked out a brand new Mexican restaurant. We had pedicures. We put our porch pots together, and it was so nice to spend the day together, just the two of us having adult girl time. We love the kiddos. And I love, of course, Waylon James. That's, you guys all know Waylon James. He's YouTube famous on my channel, but MJ is his beautiful mama, and she is a vet tech, and so she works long hours in the country at the vet shop, especially this time of year, working cattle and doing so many things. And so it's hard for her to get away this time of the year as well. So I've landed on a Spotlight on Nature circle that I created out of cherry cobbler. I popped up Oh What Fun on top of that. And then I used a stylish shape banner to create a couple banners to draw over the florals. So we've got the floral circle on the left page, and we have no floral pattern on the right page. So that's why I made the two banner pieces. And I punched out quite a few of the flowers, but I want them to stretch. So I need more flowers for the other layouts that I'm creating with this set. So in order to stretch stickers and punch outs, I often will add dies or Cricut cuts. So I've made, I think, 6 little Cricut leaves. I'm only going to use a couple, just enough to be able to stretch the pack as fillers so that I don't have to use all the photos, because of course I like more things. So I would love to use every single sticker flower and every single punch out flower on this one layout. But if I do that, then I won't have any flowers left or, pine branches left for the rest of the layout. So I'm going to stretch it by adding other little bits and pieces in here. So I'm going to strategically place a couple of the flowers. I'm going to add a couple leaf flourishes. I've done my journaling on vellum, and I've placed that vellum over the top of one of the punch out journaling cards that has the lines in it. I think we can add the old olive tab up to the upper right with a small floral, maybe a little date sticker or something like that that we can add here in a little bit. I think we can be pretty simple on the right page with maybe a couple punch out flowers along with those floral banners, and then strategically place some of the florals over here on the left. So I want to have some to the left of the film strip. I want to have some on the top of the large photo, kind of swooshing over the film strip a little bit. Of course, I want to have a larger one on the lower right, but still be able to open the flip flap, and then maybe a couple other little florals here and there, and a couple other little wordy bits here and there. But back to what I was saying about the deal breakers. Some people say I'm not willing to put work into a scrapbooking layout unless it has X amount of photos on it, right? And there's always functional scrapbooking versus decorative scrapbooking. I'm taking a little pecan pie and I'm pouncing on the edges of all of the Cricut leaves. I've created 3 of the Cricut leaves out of old olive and 3 of the Cricut leaves out of mossy meadow. I only use 1 of each. I probably should have used a few more over on the right to make the page balance a little bit more, but I actually liked the way it looked. I liked the simplicity of the right page and making all 6 of those photos be the focal. Anyway, I am always looking for a way to have that decorative element and still get lots of photo opportunities. And most of you who follow my channel and most other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators channels know that signature flip flaps are a way to achieve more photo opportunities and keep a decorative element. So I did use that on the 4x6. So we turned a single 4x6 photo into 3 4x6 photos by using the film strip. I have 5 2x2 photos over there, and then by using a grid style over on the right, I have 6 more photos for a total of 14 photos. A lot of times what I will do is I will satisfy my urge for that decorative element by having a left side decorative feature photo page, and then the right side I will knock out as many photos on the right side as I can. Or I'll do that the opposite. I will have more of a focal page on the right and a more functional page on the left. And it kind of gives me what feels like the best of both worlds, where you've got that decorative element, but you have functional photo opportunities as well. So I don't have a general rule, but typically I'm usually able to get at least 6 or 7 photos on a 2-page spread, but I often try to eke out anywhere between 10 and 12. Now this one has 14, so it does take a little bit of strategic designing sometimes if you don't want to cover all of the pages with photos. I know there are so many designs that can give you even more photos, but when I get done with those designs, I feel like I've lost a little bit of that decorative element. I can maybe put a cluster, like one tiny cluster somewhere, and all the rest are vertical and horizontal lines where You have a pattern paper going across horizontally and a pattern paper going down vertically, and then photo, 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 photo. And even if you're staggering your photos for interest, it feels very filled with photos with a little bit of a less of a decorative element. Now, there's a time and a place for all kinds of kinds, and I love both kinds. So I love doing it that way. I also love doing it this way, but I love it when I get the best of both worlds and I can have that decorative element. So now I've added those clusters. I've popped up at least one piece in each cluster. I've added a couple of those Christmas leaves to just make it look a little more full and to stretch the stickers. I've added the date sticker up to the upper right on the tab. I've added some little smaller florals here and there as little decorative elements. And then, of course, no layout is complete without the bling. So I'm using the traditional sequins bling here. Now, I will say about these, most of the bling that I've used from Stampin' Up! Is pretty sticky on the back. These are a little bit thinner. They almost feel like a glitter paper, a little bit thicker than a glitter paper maybe. And I have had a little bit of trouble of them popping back off. So if I were you, I would add a tiny little dot of, of like liquid adhesive, or I would add a little teeny micro glue dot under them to just really, really secure them, add a little added adhesive. I made a set of Christmas cards and I used these, and then when I went to take the photos, I didn't notice until after I had already posted my photos that a couple of these little sequins had popped off without me knowing. And I don't know, maybe I was rough with them because I take lots of videos with them and things, but definitely add some extra adhesive. And for a fun play, I used all pool party sequins, and so I thought that added that element of that extra pool party color in, and I really loved that look. I'm getting happy. I hope you love it. I'm so happy we were able to keep a decorative element, have 14 photos on the page, and be able to document the whole entire day in one 2-page spread. I hope you'll hit like, subscribe, the notifications bell, and you'll shoot me a comment and come back soon for more right here on Snips by Kelly.